So the next group of muscles that we're going to be looking at in our how-to series is the rhomboids. And there are two of them. There's rhomboideus minor and rhomboideus major. The origin of rhomboideus minor is the lower half of the neutral ligament, so running over the spinous processes of the cervical spine. It then also attaches to the spinous process of C7 and T1, so either side of the CT junction. So that's the origin of rhomboideus minor. The origin of rhomboideus major is immediately underneath that, so the spinous processes from T2 to T5. And then those two muscles together insert into the medial border of the scapula from the root of the spine of the scapula, the whole length of the medial border down to the inferior angle of the scapula. The action of these two muscles is to bring the shoulders in towards the center line and also to rotate the scapula. A point to note is the name rhomboid comes from a shape that has four sides, two of which are parallel. You can see them outlined there. The rotation of the scapula looks like this. So if we now look at hydrotherm related techniques for the rhomboids, okay, the first thing is, normally in a massage we'd be looking at the surface of the scapula, we'd be looking down onto the back, and a lot of people when they first start to use hydrotherm they think, oh, I can't see what I'm doing in the upper back or even the lower back sometimes, and that's going to have a detrimental effect on our work. But in fact, the muscles that we really want to influence are quite a lot deeper than those surface muscles. And the moment that your hands are in position, you can feel the structures once you understand the anatomy and physiology. You can feel the inferior angle of the scapula. You can feel the medial border. And as you run up that medial border, you actually feel the rhomboids, major and minor, kind of pulse over your fingers as you run across them, which for some clients is quite a strange sensation. But what it means is you can very precisely locate and discover what areas are tense. In here I'm doing one of the nicest movements in a standard massage with hydrotherm, which is called the figure of eight effleurage. It's a really lovely way of releasing muscles through here, but I can immediately switch to knuckling and come right down into the areas where the rhomboids and all the muscles associated with them also act. In here I can also do some movements to effectively abduct the scapula, so to move the origin and the insertion of rhomboids away from each other. You can see how much movement my client's shoulder actually can get. And then I often will do a movement through here where I get my clients to take a nice deep breath. And then in their breathing out, they're releasing any use of the rhomboids in their breathing. So to make sure that those muscles are completely tense. Quite often you can get your fingers behind the scapula in this position. But in more advanced techniques with hydrotherm, we also will bring the client's arm across their body. And you can see I can get right the way to the insertion of the rhomboids at the root of the spine of the scapula through here and do some really powerful movements around here. In terms of rotation, I've got this ability again to rotate the scapula to whichever position I want, to really free up any muscles that might be holding around the rotator cuff or around the superficial shoulder muscles. When I work with sportsmen like tennis players or golfers or cricketers, the flexibility in the position of working with the shoulders with hydrotherm is second to none. Now, if I look at the holistic aspects of rhomboids, because the shoulders are slightly different. If you think about the movement of rhomboid, I'm going to if you like, play out what the muscles are doing or what the scapula is doing on the back of the body. The scapula can move towards effectively the center line at this level of the thoracic spine, which means they're effectively covering the back surface of what would be known as the heart chakra, or the energy that's related to the heart. This line of the body relates to the experience of welcoming or bringing things towards us or pushing things away. Okay, so how much we allow things and accept things, or how much we reject things. So the position of the scapula has a lot to do with, are we accepting ourselves, or are we conditionally treating ourselves? In other words, if we work hard, if we do well, then we're allowed to relax in this area, we're allowed to feel good. If we do something wrong or bad, then we may actually punish ourselves and suffer. So there are emotions related to things like guilt, related to things like what we think we owe, like debt, or what we think we deserve, that trigger muscles in this part of the body. Okay, it's quite important, I find, to release this area, to get clients to be clear. They do not have to do anything to earn the right to relax, which means they can relax more and more whilst doing less and less. And in fact, that whole balance between how much I give and how much I get translates in from the shoulder and comes into the heart in terms of, do I feel proud and stand proudly presenting the chest, or do I feel almost ashamed and move the shoulders into that position you can see, which puts pressure on the rhomboids. So I often here will just say to clients, consider the difference between feeling ashamed and feeling proud, or consider how conditional or unconditional your own respect is or love is, and actually just allow yourself to fall into the space where these things don't have to decide how relaxed you are or how peaceful the next moment is. Just take a nice deep breath into those thoughts and then just sink back. Great, and I can just feel the rhomboids just releasing gently and opening in that space.